Hi, my name is Gibson, and I'm the co-owner and creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, I want to talk to you a little bit about what makes a person secure in a relationship, and specifically, what a secure person looks like in the dating phase of a relationship. So if you've been following some of the past videos I've put out around the 6 stages of relationships, you're probably familiar, but just in case, I'm going to let you know what they are. So essentially, this is adapted from Dr. Susan Campbell's work with thousands of case studies of different individuals in terms of like the lifestyle or life cycle of a relationship. But Susan Campbell talks about there being a honeymoon phase, a power struggle phase, a stability, a commitment, and a bliss phase. And something I found very, very clear amongst case studies that I've done with different individuals, that there is definitely a dating phase, which is very independent from the honeymoon phase. And I find this is actually a phase of the life cycle of a relationship in general where people sort of have the most questions. So I've sort of turned this into the 6 stages of relationships. And in this video specifically, we're going to talk about how a secure person tends to show up in the dating phase. So you can use this video to look at how you would be able to sort of spot a secure person that you're dating. And there will be nuances, but you'll see some general sort of patterns and imprints that might be easy to recognize. And you can also learn from this in terms of comparing in like a healthy way, where you might be sort of not doing some of these things that are important for your growth, and how you can adapt these patterns and how you can work on patterns that you might be missing in terms of how you show up in the dating phase of a relationship, depending on what attachment style you have. So I'll give you a really quick sort of debrief on what makes a person secure and some of the sort of core patterns that create security in a relationship. And essentially our attachment styles develop between the ages of 0 to 2 years old. And so in this stage of a relationship between the parent and the child, there's some certain core features that essentially like really help to create a strong bond between the parent and the child. And these are things like making eye contact, comforting the child, coming when the child cries, coddling the child if the child's going through something or is afraid, making space for the child to express their emotions, not shaming or getting frustrated or pulling away when the child is in a space of crying, and also coming and feeding the child and checking in and sort of trying to identify the child's needs in these early stages when the child is expressing their emotions by crying or through any other form of frustration. And so what the child learns as a result of these things in the very early stages is that my feelings get seen, heard, and understood, or at least made an attempt to. I get attuned to, so relating is safe. I can trust my caregiver. I am worthy of having needs and worthy of those needs being met. And bonding is safe, and my vulnerability isn't a bad thing. And there's other things that come with that, but those are some of the core patterns. And what happens is, although our attachment style can change after the age of 2, it can change at any point in time if we have imprints that impact our subconscious mind. Generally, the early attachment style that we develop tends to be the attachment style we keep, unless there's some big changes in life, which can happen a good amount of time. And so what essentially takes place is that a child learns that, like, I am worthy of being seen, heard, understood. I'm worthy of having needs. And it's safe to trust others. It's safe to be vulnerable to others. And that directly impacts like their self-esteem. And so this child goes through life and they have this like trajectory of feeling like it's easier to relate to others, having an easier time generally making friends with other people as a result, feeling more confident, feeling worthy of asking for things. And so you can imagine like all these things together and the trajectory of how that impacts a person's life. And they're generally just in a more stable space. And obviously this deeply impacts relationships. So let's fast forward to how this impacts our adult romantic relationships. And by the way, I forgot to mention this at the beginning. Really quick, we are also supporting our community as much as we can right now, hence me like releasing a video at like 9 p.m. on Friday and making sure that I get a daily video out as much as possible. So let me know in the comments below. Thank you guys, by the way. You guys have been leaving like the nicest comments and I'm so grateful. And I'm just like, it makes my heart so friggin' happy that this stuff that I get to share that I love and love learning about like helps people and serves people. And it's like really just like humbling and beautiful every day. So thank you guys for your really sweet comments. I've been reading them and trying to like extract content from there. And I wish I had a chance to answer all of them. but I'm seeing them and like taking video topics accordingly. Anyways, I'm kind of going on a tangent now. But we have scholarships that we're offering, and we also have a 25% off sale of our membership bundle. So it's like the coupon code is with you. It's all one word. And you can just go to checkout, type it in there, and it gives you 25% off of memberships or single course purchases. And we're going to be holding that until like everything clears up with COVID and until things sort of go back to normal, just to support everybody during like kind of changes in financial times or anything that could be going on. And if you have anything further that you need assistance with beyond that, you can email my team at info@personaldevelopmentschool, and they're like setting up scholarship options for people and all these different things. So I know it's kind of not fun to be like stuck at home, but at least you can hopefully take something away from it, whether it's through these videos, whether it's through the inside of the school. And you can hear my dog in the background. My dog's name is Simba. And sorry, I was going to say something else, but I forgot. Simba distracted me. So I'll go back to this video. Oh, we have a course. One of our main courses is the secure attachment style relationship in each of the 6 stages. So how a secure person shows up in each of the 6 stages of a relationship, and what you can take, and the specific hows for how to do this. So I'm going to put that in this video too. Not the 6 stages, but the dating stage and how you can sort of work on these things. So back to the topic. I'm so sorry. That wasn't very short. So first and foremost, because of all this patterning, because of all this programming that takes place, you'll essentially see that like this person is on that trajectory, as we were talking about, towards just having an easier time relating to others in relationships across all forms, friendships, family relationships, basically having like a generally more positive outlook as well on relationships and on trust and on deep connection and vulnerability and all these things that are basically necessary ingredients for a relationship to be thriving. So we're going to go through, I think, 12 or so key things about how the secure person grows up and these 12 qualities that they tend to bring into relationships, and then how you can start like mining away and working on these qualities within yourself if you feel like you have any of them missing or that you could sort of expand more on. So number 1, the secure individual, they don't personalize things as often. So they don't take things as painfully, right? They don't tend to, they can, and they're still human beings, but like there's a beautiful quote in a book called The 4 Agreements. It's actually a line in the book, and it says, taking things personally is the ultimate expression of self-centeredness because it's the assumption that everything revolves around you. And wherever we have traumas or pain points, it's as if a part of us like doesn't fully grow up in that area. It doesn't fully like emotionally evolve. And so you can imagine, for example, let's say you feel not good enough, and maybe that's a really big wound, or maybe you feel like you don't belong, or you've been excluded or disrespected. Do you ever notice that in these places that you get triggered, you kind of have these like more childlike qualities? You might feel more afraid, you might feel more needy or clingy, like especially people who are anxious or have an anxious side on fearful avoidant. When you feel like you might be abandoned or alone, like you almost feel that childlike neediness come up. And it's actually a symptom of a trauma, and your psyche sort of almost stays stuck in that area until either your needs are met and compensated for, so there's been basically an equilibration that happens in your subconscious mind, or until you actually go back and do the work on that core wound and you can transform it at the subconscious level and reprogram it. And then you'll feel like those things go away and you can go back to that like state of stability and not react as much if there is a potential of that wound being triggered. So like, let's say you used to feel that abandonment and feel needy and afraid, and then you do the work on that, or let's say you never had that wound to begin with. If somebody needs to take, a week away, or, just wants to go on a trip with their friends, you're very unlikely to be triggered if you don't have a previously stored wound in that area. And so where we have previously stored wounds, we're also way more likely to personalize things and make them about us, even though they may not be. Like your partner might just actually want to go on a trip with their friends. And that might be a really beautiful, healthy thing for the relationship. But sometimes if we have fear there, we sort of regress into that more young, sort of emotionally immature version of ourselves. And we become like sort of desperate and afraid, and like we want answers right in the moment. We need to fix things right now. And we lose some of our capacity to logically think things through because we're actually operating out of a subconscious state to a certain degree. And so secure attachment style individuals just generally don't take these things as personally. So in the dating stage of a relationship, if somebody doesn't call as quickly after a date, or text them back very fast after, there's a conversation or communication, they're not really reacting to this to the same degree. They like feel stable about it. And they're like, if it's sort of meant to work out, it will. And they can get like excited and still a little bit nervous and like, oh my gosh, are they going to talk to me? I really like them. And things like this, but it's not going to feel disempowering to them, ruin their day, any of these things, because they're not experiencing these old core wounds popping up, and they're not in a triggered state of mind. And so when you're experiencing triggers in the dating stage of a relationship, it's usually about the past, less so than being about the present situation, if that makes sense. So that's number one. Geez, this might take a while to go through all 12. Maybe I'll do this video in 2 parts, actually. I'll give you the first 5 or 6, okay? Number 2, they feel safer being vulnerable. So back to that childhood space, they had positive subconscious associations built into vulnerability. They felt like, hey, I deserve to be seen and heard and understood. And so they feel safe expressing themselves, showing who they are, even talking about some of their flaws or weaknesses, and opening up that way, because when they did that in childhood, and the brain as an association making machine, when they did that in childhood, it's like what happened as a result of that were usually net positive things. So more programmed positive associations to negative. And so we use those and we reproject them onto our current dating stage. And so it actually feels more normal to feel safe opening up, versus like I'll hear a lot of attachment styles who are dismissive avoidant or fearful avoidant and have that avoidant quality. And they'll talk about how, they don't feel safe being vulnerable and opening up. They feel like somebody's going to have power over them, or the power to hurt them, or things like this, which can be very uncomfortable and scary. Another big thing is that secure individuals, number 3, is that secure individuals generally feel safe having boundaries. Like they learned as children, and this is a big part of their imprinting, they usually saw that they could speak up and communicate about a need. And when they did this, that need was met with at least some kind of validation, understanding. Maybe the need wasn't like, yeah, you can just have everything you want or need, but there was usually negotiation as that child got older. Like, hey, listen, I understand that you want to stay out later with your friends, but like we have a curfew. I'm happy to extend it for 30 minutes if you're willing to, clean your room this evening. And so there was usually, that's one random example, but there's usually space held for the need to be like validated, valued, negotiated. Like you were taught that, hey, it's okay to have needs. It's okay to speak up and express needs. And that generally sort of spills right into boundaries, right? The opposition happens where if somebody's going, I need some time by myself. I need to just close my door and go in my room and be alone. A parent was like, okay, that's, I can see that. And please come down for dinner. But, if you really need some time alone, you're having a rough day, at least show up for the end of dinner. Like there is a negotiation that can take place around somebody's needs or around somebody's boundaries. And yeah, I could go into a lot more about that, but I won't for the timing of this video. Another really big piece that we'll see here is like there's a lack of being really triggered all the time. And this is going back to what we talked about earlier. There's less core wounds stored in the subconscious. And as a result of that, when there's an argument, when there's a conflict, when there's a challenge, this next piece here that we're talking about in the order of our components is that naturally this person, the secure individual in dating, if there's a conflict or a challenge or something going on, they're more able to be present and hear and see and understand and empathize with other people's perspectives, because their own perspective and their own pain isn't consuming them. And so as a result of that, they're able to like open up and communicate and do all these different things, and feel like they can actually sort of hear where other people are coming from. And a lot of insecure attachment styles can be like very empathetic, especially like our fearful avoidance and things like this. But a lot of insecure attachment styles very much lose their ability to empathize if their core wounds are triggered, and not completely. And this is a spectrum too. Like some people who are, fearful avoidant attachment styles, for example, and working on themselves might not experience this, or they might be able to empathize right after they're triggered, or feel a lot of like guilt and remorse, like, oh my gosh, I should have seen that perspective, and these different things. And same with anxious and dismissive avoidance too can be very empathetic, but they'll tend to empathize less, or at least express their empathy quite a bit less. So what happens is on a side note, dismissive avoidants basically tend to get overwhelmed with their empathy and then not like that they're feeling so much for other people and it's making them feel their feelings. And so they try to put really hard boundaries around their empathy, even though a lot of them can feel a lot of empathy towards others. Not always the case. It can be like actually diminished completely if somebody's really disconnected from their feelings, but that's in there. Sorry, I just went for a run before I did this video, and every time after I run, I'm so chatty. Like I have so much energy for life. So I'll give you one more thing for this video, and then I'll put this maybe into different parts, or maybe if you guys want to hear more about the different stages, there are quite a lot more things about how the secure person shows up in the dating phase of a relationship. But the last thing I will say is that they haven't tried to repress their own feelings as a coping mechanism as strongly. So they have a tendency to know what they feel and need in real time a lot more than others. So if you guys have ever had that experience where maybe you are wanting to get something out and wanting to say something to, you know, a colleague or a boss, or like speak up in a meeting or whatever's going on and communicate your standpoint, and then you don't even realize until after the fact, maybe you had a point or you had a need or you felt a certain way, and then you didn't even realize until a couple hours after that conversation, or maybe until the conversation ended and you had walked into the other room, or whatever the dynamics could be there. What takes place is that you are usually repressing your own feelings and needs because you've had this conditioned association where you've essentially learned to hyper focus on other people and kind of like disconnect from the relationship to yourself when you're around others, because this was actually a coping mechanism or adaptation due to painful or challenging childhood experiences or an environment. And so one of the outputs of that is that in the dating stage of a relationship, sometimes it gets really difficult to actually communicate your feelings in real time to other people, or communicate your needs or opinions. And sometimes you can sort of walk away and feel like, sort of frustrated after the fact, or like, I wish I said this or added this thing or spoke up in this way. And secure individuals, because they're not in this like hypervigilant state around others, because they usually didn't have to make that trauma adaptation, they can get into a place where it's like they feel their own feelings in real time, notice their needs in real time, feel safe to express them in real time, and have room within all of that to be able to empathize and hear and understand others, not simultaneously, but to be able to go back and forth quickly enough where it makes space for both people's needs and for a conversation to be worked through more effectively, because they feel like they can communicate when things are coming up. And I know that for some of you guys who are maybe like learning about attachment styles or are newer to this work, it might feel like, okay, that sounds impossible, it's overwhelming. But as you start working through your core triggers and subconscious programs and all these different things, and start entering into more of a space where you don't have things coming up and you don't have to feel like you're on guard as much around other people, and you feel more safe being vulnerable and opening yourself, as you work through some of these things and as you get more familiar with your needs, that's actually like a normal state to be in for a secure person. And you can reprogram your subconscious to get to that space. So I feel like this was so much information for today, but it's such an important topic and such an important video. And I only got halfway through the key points. And just in the dating stage, and there's all other stages. But if you're interested, stay tuned for the course, because the course has all of the details about this and so much more. And please leave your comments in the section below so I can, like, do you want a second part to this video? Do you want to hear the rest? Do you want to hear about the different stages? Let me know. And thank you so much for being here and watching. And please like, share, and subscribe if you're getting a lot of value out of this channel. And I will see you in the next video.